Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So my name's Katie and today we're going to be talking about some of my least favourite tropes or tropes I don't like. So I filmed a video, probably you would have seen it a couple of weeks ago, talking about tropes I love. So I thought I'd do the opposite and talk about some tropes I hate. I don't feel like there's many tropes that I hate with a passion, but I just thought I'd talk about some that I kind of tend to dislike now. And I feel like there's been quite a bit of controversy about tropes recently on Twitter, which I think is a really interesting conversation because I do feel like tropes and tropey marketing has sort of, I don't know, I don't know how to phrase it, but like I feel like authors are too reliant on tropes almost nowadays, whereas I feel like it's nice to read a book and discover what tropes are in it for yourself, and like not having too many packed into one book is a good thing. I think the authors need to go back to the like less is more approach. And like I'd be interested to know in the comments how people feel about like publishers and stuff using tropes to market books, because I feel like they usually do it wrong, which is one of the tropes I'm going to talk about in this video as well. And also, I don't know, I just feel like it's nice to discover them for yourself in a way. And like if there's too many in one book, it's like just too much. I don't know. So the first trope I'm going to talk about is the like resurrection type trope, which to be honest, it doesn't always bother me that much. But what does bother me is like how they go about the resurrection. Because especially if it's a fantasy book, why are you doing CPR? Like you could just revive them with magic. But instead they do like stupid chest compressions, like, and I think it annoys me even more in TV shows because you can see them doing the chest compressions and they're like doing them completely wrong, which fair enough, I don't know if they actually have to do them on a person, in which case you wouldn't want to be doing proper ones. But it always just looks so stupid. But yeah, like I feel like authors just don't understand the purpose of CPR. So they do like 2 chest compressions and then the character's suddenly magically back to life, which is just not what happens. So yeah, that annoys me sometimes. And just like the thing with like if a character dies and then you lose all the like emotional impact from that by bringing them back a couple of pages later. But having said that, I don't really like it when characters die, especially if I like the character. So sometimes it is nice to know that they're gonna come back in a way. I don't know. And actually, I said I didn't like it, but I do sort of like it when they like necromantically resurrect a character, but maybe that character's like not quite the same. I don't know. That's kind of interesting. But I do feel like, especially YA fantasy and YA fantasy romance, Sarah J Maas, overuse the resurrection trope quite a bit. Like I feel like just don't kill the character, just make them like really like on the brink of death and then they like heal. I feel like that's more emotionally impactful than having the character die and then bringing them straight back. I don't know, that's just how I feel. And then another, I feel like this one is maybe controversial, but okay, so enemies to lovers. I feel like I don't hate it and I do like it if it's done well, but I feel like enemies to lovers is like the term is thrown around way too much and is not what over half of books I would say described as enemies to lovers are not enemies to lovers. And I think I like enemies and lovers, and I like dislike to lovers, but I don't think I'm the biggest fan of enemies to lovers. I don't know if that made any sense whatsoever, but I like it when they're like are enemies and they stay enemies but they're like in a relationship. I don't know, I love that. And I feel like a lot of like romance books, they're not really enemies, it's just like dislike or misunderstanding, and then they don't like each other and then they become like in a relationship, and I like that, like the kind of hate to love type vibes. But I feel like that's always described as enemies to lovers and then it pisses me off because it's not actually, they're not enemies. Like I feel like you fundamentally can't be enemies in like a contemporary romance, I don't know. And then in fantasy where you genuinely can get enemies, oftentimes it's still not like, they're not proper enemies, or they are, but then like 2 minutes later they're not enemies anymore and they're in love. I feel like if you're doing true enemies to lovers, you have to have that good like build up and like they hate each other for ages and then just like slowly start liking each other. I don't know. Like I said, they stay enemies and they still kind of hate each other, but they like are still together. I don't know. But yeah, so I'm not the biggest fan of enemies to lovers, but I feel like part of that dislike for it comes from the sort of misuse of it in a way. So yeah. But you know what I do like actually? I like the sort of like Romeo and Juliet type trope where the characters are sort of on enemy sides but they like each other. Like, I don't know if that's a genuine has a trope name or anything, but I like that sort of drama. I guess that's the kind of similar thing to like enemies and lovers type vibes. Like, I filmed this video and now I'm realising there aren't actually that many tropes that I dislike. I feel like one thing I don't always love is the like accidental pregnancy type trope. I don't feel like I read a lot of that, but I think you do get in romance sometimes. But that just annoys me because just, yeah, you need more contraceptive education. So yeah, I'm a big contraceptive advocate, so but I guess actually things do go wrong, like condoms do break and whatever, people don't use the pill properly and things, but still it just annoys me. And also I don't like it when I feel like babies like should be wanted. So when it's, but I keep going into tropes I do love, but one thing I do love is when like two characters who are at the start of a relationship or something, or aren't together yet, but they have to like look after like someone else's kid for a bit, or like they get a baby they have to look after, and I love that. And then, oh, anyway, so that's a trope I love. But they're like accidental or kind of unwanted pregnancy, I don't like that so much. Oh, another trope that I hate so much is the third act breakup, and this happens so often in romance books and I just hate it. Like, I don't mind like arguments and things before they get together, like I feel like that adds angst and stuff, but like once they get together, especially in just a normal like length romance book, I just want them to stay together like and deal with conflicts like as a couple, rather than just the first conflict they just break up straight away. I don't know, I just hate it. Like, and I think I'm someone who doesn't really like conflict, especially in like relationships, so I love it when it's like a whole, like I would read a book which is just like a wholesome romance, like no drama, no conflict, but it always happens and they always break up and it's so annoying because you know they're going to get straight back together, but just why did you feel the need to break up? I don't know, it just annoys me. And oftentimes it's so unnecessary, or for something like so petty that would have been solved with like one conversation, not even a conversation, like a message. But yeah, yeah, I don't like third act breakups, they just annoy me. But like, even a lot of my favourite books have them because they're just impossible to avoid. And on that note, miscommunication, that annoys me. But I feel like I don't like it, but sometimes it makes sense. Like, I feel like certain books, especially like books with teenagers as the characters, like YA books, I feel like miscommunication is a fundamental part of being a teenager almost, so you can see why that happens. But especially in like an adult romance, like, why are you miscommunicating? And sometimes it's fair enough, but like I feel like in like a fantasy romance, when there's like deliberate miscommunication because one character's like under threat, and if the other character tells them something then like they'll all die or whatever, and that I kind of like that, like when there has to be secrets kept. But in like a modern day setting, it annoys me because just communicate, please. So yeah, I feel like so many of the tropes I'm like thinking of, I don't think they're even tropes, I think they're just little things that annoy me about romance books because they like aren't like properly like sex educated or whatever, like things like lube and stuff. Just, I feel like romance authors need to have a big lube party because they never use it enough. Like, okay, I feel like that's all the tropes I'm gonna think of. I can think of. I think they'll probably come to me over the course of today and I'll be like, oh, why didn't I mention that? But anyway, so let me know in the comments if there's any tropes that you really hate with like a burning passion, like my hatred for CPR and fantasy books. But yeah, I would really love to know. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And I hope everyone's having a really great day, and I will see you next time.